Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I hope that everyone had a fantastic April Fool's Day and that even though you've had to stay at home and probably can't go out and get too many supplies, I hope you were able to still pull some sweet pranks on the people that you love. Anyway, moving on away from April Fools. Today, what I want to talk about in music theory is what we call chordal function. So in music, in tonal music, chords have functions. Chords that we have in music, they have certain jobs. They interact with each other in ways that they want to accomplish a certain job. Um, in each key signature, each chord that exists has a certain job. There are three typical jobs that we usually see. The first job is tonic function. That is going to be our tonic chord. And what tonic function does is it establishes our key, and it's the chord that it's going to sound most like home. It's going to be where we start. It's going to be where we want to get to at the end. It serves as our home base. There's predominant function, which is kind of this middle step between tonic and the last function. So predominant is where a lot of musical ideas might happen, but you can't hang out there forever because eventually you have to get back to the tonic. Now, typically, you don't go straight from predominant to the tonic because there is what we call the dominant function. And the dominant chord has exactly one job most of the time. And what that is to get us back to home. So when we have musical phrases, usually we start out in our home chord right here, our tonic. We start in our house. We go about our day, maybe outside of the house, but we're still, in relatively familiar territory. And then the dominant function is what drives us back to home and what makes us really want to get back home. So, these functions have chords that they're usually associated with. Tonic function is the job of the tonic chord, which is the one chord in a major key. You can see down here on our worksheet, I gave you all the scale degrees in C major. The one chord is going to be based off of our first note in the C major scale, which that note is called the tonic, so its chord is called the tonic. So in C major, the C major chord is going to be our home base. That's where we're going to want to hang out as much as we can. That's where we start our day. That's where we're going to end our day. The dominant function belongs to the dominant chord, which is the 5/7 chord in a major key. So in C major, our fifth step, our dominant note in the scale is G. So that dominant note has the dominant chord, which in C major is going to be the G7 chord. And then the predominant chord, it doesn't only have one, or the predominant function, it doesn't have just one chord that it's associated with. It could be a couple different chords, but they're usually the minor 2, which is based off of our second note. In this case, D minor is our minor 2 chord. The major 4, in this case, would be F major, or the minor 6, which in this case is A minor. So down here, I explain what all those chords are, and then there are 3 questions. Now, I can't just sit here and talk about these functions without illustrating what they are. So in this video, I'm going to go to some chorales that we have to show you the functions. And then in the second video, I'm going to play you these functions so you can hear what they're actually like. So what I have here is the chorale that we wrote the other day in C major. That is a C major chord, F major chord, G7, and back to C major. A quick, simple chorale. And it follows the structure of a typical phrase in music. Um, you can see that we still have our Roman numerals down underneath, but I also added here the names of the chords that we have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle these chords right now based off of what their function is. So I told you that the tonic function is where we start and where we end most of the time. It's what sounds like home. I'm going to circle our tonic chord, which is C major in the key of C major. That's where we start our day, and it is also going to be where we end our day. That's our home base, that's where we start, and that's where we want to get back to. So I am going to now switch pen colors. I circled the tonic chord with teal because both those things start with T. I'm going to switch to purple, which starts with P for our pre dominant chord. In this case, we have a major 4 chord, and that is serving as our predominant chord. This chord's job is to just kind of act like a middleman between the tonic and the dominant. And then we are going to switch to dark blue because dark blue starts with D, just like dominant, and I couldn't think of a color that starts with D. So this dark blue is our dominant function. So right here, we have 3 different chords and then a second instance of that C major. And these chords have different jobs. We have tonic, predominant, dominant, and tonic once more. What I did, and you will hear this in a moment in the next video, what I did is I took the chorale from the other day and I changed that second chord a couple times. That way we can have some different predominants happening. So in this second example, we still have C major to begin with, and then we start with C major and we end with C major. We have G7, but then in the middle, instead of an F major chord, I changed this to an A minor, and you'll hear that difference again, like I said, in the next video. But while we're here, I'm going to mark these real quick. Just like in the first example, we have C major is going to be our tonic chord, both the first and the last one, home base. In this example, we have, oh, I'm sorry, never mind that. Okay, in this example, our predominant chord, it's still in the same place, but it's going to be an A minor chord instead of F major. And our dominant chord is in the same place, and it's the same chord, it's that G7. And then one more time, I took the same chorale and I changed around the notes. I changed around this middle chord here, so that way it's another different predominant chord, but we still have C major to start and end with. So that is still our tonic chord. This time our predominant chord is going to be D minor instead of F major or A minor. These are all good choices for predominant chords in C major. And again, once more, we have G7 as our dominant chord. I hope that this visual aid has helped. I think that hearing it in the next video will help even more. So I'm going to cut this video off here and go to the next video to let you hear what these chorales sound like.